Hello, this is Dan Beasley coming to you from Hartsville, South Carolina. The time is 6:09 p.m. on the East Coast. We've been experiencing a lot of rain and a lot of technical problems with our program. We've been off the air for a little while, and we appreciate your hanging tight with us. And we're going to get right on into our news events for today, and also follow up with Middle East prophecy and how it relates to today's news. So let's go ahead and get into the local U.S. news. There was sinkhole that swallowed a car in Toledo, Ohio today. The driver had to be rescued after falling into the sinkhole. Um, the sinkhole was at the intersection of Detroit Avenue and Bancroft in Toledo. A water main was supposedly the cause for this sinkhole. The car fell into it, and fire crews had to lower a ladder, and the female driver climbed up. She was unharmed but taken to a local hospital to be checked out. Sinkhole was about 20 feet deep and may grow larger, and the car remains trapped in the sinkhole. Also, Pepsi is in the news. Pepsi is now reportedly um, containing too much of a carcinogen found in the caramel coloring, the group says. And this group happens to be an environmental group. And they said it has a worrisome level of carcinogen. And even after the drink maker said it would change its formula, it still went public with the news. In March, PepsiCo and Coca-Cola Company also said that they would adjust their formulas nationally after California passed a law mandating drinks containing a certain level of carcinogens come with a cancer warning label. The changes were made for drinks sold in California when the law passed. And the chemical is called 4-mel, which can form during the cooking process and as a result may be found in trace amounts in many foods. Watchdog group for the Center of Environmental Health found that through testing that while Coke products no longer test positive for the chemical, Pepsi products sold outside of California still do. So Pepsi says that it's going to try to change its manufacturing process to cut the amount of 4-mel in its caramel. Moving along to the next story, Greta Van Susteren is in the news. They were saying that she may be finished at Fox. Um, However, that is not really known at this point. She's saying something about she may return back to CNN. So that's another news item that you may want to follow up on. Getting into our Middle East news, we have the uprising in Egypt, where the Egyptian army has ousted Morsi, who decried a coup, according to Yahoo News. And the coup, the armed forces outside, they ousted his first democratically elected president Wednesday after just a year in power, installing a temporary civilian government and suspending the constitution and calling for new elections. Islamist President Mohamed Morsi declared it as a full coup by the military. And moving along from that story, we have another story coming out of Syria, where it said, this is from blacklistednews.com, 3,500 tons of weapons are already sent to rebels, says Lord Ashton. And this is coming from the London Telegraph. And it says that they do not need arms. It's an unchallenged figure that 3,500 tons of arms have been shipped by way of Croatia with the assistance of the CIA funded by the Saudis. It's going almost exclusively to the more jihadist groups. The International High Representative for Bosnia said in a debate. And someone says, I know where those weapons are coming from. They're weapons left over from the Bosnian War. They're being shipped out in large measures through Croatian ports and airports. Lord Ashton described the rebels as not a fit and proper collection of people for us to be providing arms to. Britain and France favor arming the rebels, while in a change of policy, Washington recently announced it would send direct military aid to the opponents of President Assad. Officials also said they would select moderate rebels for assistance. And that leads us to another story where Israel is seeking $5 billion in U.S. loans to buy arms. Israel is reportedly, through UPI, is reportedly seeking U.S. loan guarantees of $5 billion, finance the purchase of the advanced weapon systems in the U.S. administration. The U.S. administration has offered the Jewish state under a $10 billion package for its Mideast allies. These include the AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles made by Raytheon Corporation, can knock out air defense radar systems, and Boeing KC-135 Stratotankers that will greatly extend the reach of Israel's strike jets. Moving along from there, we have another story that's related to the Middle East, and this is more in the prophecy realm. But archaeologists claim that they have made a possible discovery for the tent of meeting in the Bible, where the Hebrews' 40-year trek in the wilderness to tabernacle was described as a movable tent which housed the Ark of the Covenant and accompanied the Israelites as they made their way to the Promised Land. Now archaeologists say that they've discovered one place where the tabernacle, also is known as the tent of meeting, was parked, a discovery that has political significance today. According to Israel Hayim, the tabernacle was as described by the Bible, was constructed of wood and fabric, not materials cut out of thousands of years of survival. Even so, archaeologists have been searching for the past few years for evidence of the tabernacle, and that search has focused on a site believed to be in the ancient city of Shiloh and has yielded some intriguing findings. And you can read the rest of this story by going to worldnetdaily.com, and it's in the Much About History column. Going into biblical history and biblical prophecy, we're led to this situation of what is going on in the world and what's going on in the Middle East and what's happening to our world with the weather systems and the high temperatures out in the Southwest, and the flooding in the East, and all the other things that are going on, the political problems around the world, the banking financial systems, and also huge mega tornadoes and mega storms, from tropical storms and hurricanes. And one is left to believe that the world all of a sudden is spinning out of control. You have to look at these things from a long view of what the Bible says about these things, and that's the source for this information. We look at it where it's talking about persecution is going to come to the Christians. Well, right now the Syrian rebels have just executed 2 Christians that they said were aiding and abetting the enemy, which was Assad. I would suppose that to be the case. Also in the Middle East, we got the upheaval of Egypt with the military coup that just took place today. And they took the power away from the Islamic Brotherhood. And this was the first democratically elected president in Egypt. And he had been in power for about a year, and they overthrew him and demanded his resignation. And right now we're looking at how does that figure into the world scene, and how does that figure into biblical prophecy? Well, Egypt is going to lead a confederation of nations, including nations from Africa into the Battle of Armageddon at the end of the age, which apparently seems to be right upon us with all the other signs that we're seeing with the weather changes and all of the signs in the heavens with the asteroid misses and the meteorite collisions on the moon, and also the Earth, seems to be going through some gyrations of hot and cold, and we have a school of argument for both sides. One says it's cooling, one says it's heating up. You cannot debate that the temperatures out west for the last week have been triple digits. You cannot debate that. It's not a fact. And you see those situations and you see those things. In my lifetime, I haven't heard of those temperatures before, and I haven't heard of the wildfires that have gone on and on and on. It's consumed the 19 people that just lost their lives fighting, and they're saying that this thing may go on for more weeks, and it was caused by lightning. And we have to look at what's going on, in this country and what's going on in the rest of the world. Like, is it out of control, or is it really in God's prophecy? And if you read the book of Revelation, which is the last book in the New Testament of the Holy Bible, you will find out that it is in the book of Revelation as described before the end times. And you'll see where it's talking about the one world order is going to form, and there'll be a one world leader, and there'll be a one world government, there'll be a one world religion, and we're rapidly spinning towards that. And I would suggest that everyone give it some thoughtful consideration as to where you want to be and what side you want to be on with this, because there's only really one side to be on, and that's the winning side. And according to Revelation, and this is according to the book in the Bible, God's forces are going to win out in the end, but man is going to come to almost the brink of destruction through famine and all of that. And of course, this country used to be the breadbasket of the world, so to speak, for supplying wheat and all that. All our bountiful goods, we shared with other countries, and we were a huge exporter of wheat and all that to countries such as Russia. And now we're looking at drought in the Midwest, and we're looking at food being diverted into ethanol. We're looking at farmers having to kill off their livestock early and take it in the market earlier than usual, driving the prices up. And there's talk about there's going to be runaway inflation with food prices, and it's going to create more famine, and it's going to create more people are going to die from this around the world. It's not just us; it's going to affect the entire world. And we have to look at it and say, how did we get into this situation? And the Bible clearly says that any nation that forgets God will be turned into hell. That's what it says. That's not verbatim, but that is what it says. And you have to remember that if you are not on the side of God, if you're on the side of the world, if you're a friend of the world, then you're an enemy to God. God says you can't have two masters. You can't serve God and mammon. So anyway, the only way to overcome the fallen condition of man is not through technology. It's not through knowledge. It's not through wisdom. It's through Jesus Christ, the person of Jesus Christ, and his the grace that he offered. God offered up his son to take the place, our place, that we should have been sent to a fiery hell forever for what we have done and what our ancestors had done. But he saw need for us to have